Hello everyone and welcome back to the first part of attempt number 11. Attempt number 10 did not go so well, but we're not going to worry about attempt number 10. We're going to focus on attempt number 9, because attempt number 9 went really well, and we're going to of course focus on that and not worry too much about attempt number 10. Attempt number 10, it was just the in-between part between attempt number 9 and attempt number 11. And attempt number 11 is going to be really good. I know it. I can feel it. Anyway, welcome back to Half-Life, and I have a couple thI'm that I kind of have questions. So this isn't really a channel update. This is more of just a this series update. So I'm not going to be talking about things that pertain to the channel as a general. I am going to be making an actual channel dedicated video sometime in the next week, hopefully. But for now, I'm just going to kind of focus on this series, the Half-Life Iron Man mode. And one of the questions I have is I really am curious to know what people would think about me kind of experimenting with some different formats for the series, and by that I mean changing up from, you know, how I have in the past condensed the video by speeding up the parts of this tram ride intro. I've done that in about half of the attempts, I believe. About half the attempts I've done that, and half of them I haven't, because I've had stuff to talk about, or I've talked about stuff anyway, you know, and all that. So I'm curious what people would think of me doing that more. Like, not the entire thing, obviously. Well, actually, I guess the first question is, what would people think of me condensing that time, condensing the entire run down to just a fast, sped up version of the footage of me playing through the game, so it wouldn't have commentary and stuff like that. Or actually, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, it will just basically just me be playing the game, and then from that point, from me playing the game, I'll just have it scrunched down until I get close up to where I was at the end of the last attempt. So for example, again, skipping attempt number 10, we're going to just say, like, if attempt number 9 was the last attempt I'd done, you know, like, I would I'd have all of the parts up to about, probably towards about on a rail, kind of just sped up. And so all the footage would be there, but it would be sped up. Now, the main thing I will say is that I do believe there are some limitations on, I think there's some ways to get around this, but it can be kind of difficult to have this footage sped up super fast. Like, as it currently, the people who've been keeping up with the series will know kind of at the rate that I've sped up through the tram ride part, and that is as fast as my editing software allows me to do it by default. Now, there are workarounds where I can make it go even faster, but that's like the kind of baseline speed that I could get. But of course, I would do workarounds. And my main concern about this is that the farther I get into the game, if I were to do this, it would be more and more like a bigger chunk of time that is it's time lapsed, essentially. Because like I said, I do want to have a perfect uncut video record of me completing the game Iron Man mode. That's kind of my goal. That's why I am recording every single attempt, not just, you know, playing up to a point and then recording once I get closer up to that again. Partly to actually document that I'm actually doing it in a single run and not like saying, oh yeah, Scout's Honor, you know, of course I'm not cheating, you know, when I could of course be cheating. So I want to have a full-on video record for every time, for every attempt. Excuse me for that cough there. So, sorry about that, had a cough I had to deal with. So, as I was saying, I don't really want to speed it up, but at the same time, I'm kind of curious to know, would people be interested in me experimenting with that? And kind of what I was thinking is, I think kind of came up with a compromise, because I don't think it would work at all to have just the entire game up until when I get close to where I died last time sped up. Or not last time, but the farthest I've ever made, rather. So kind of the idea I came up with was, what would people think of me doing, and I'm not going to be doing it for this attempt, but I was thinking this could be an experiment for the next attempt, assuming I don't beat the game on attempt number 11. Hey, you know, knock on wood, fingers crossed. that'd be amazing, but, you know, I don't think I'm going to. I haven't, I mean, I might, who knows? Every attempt could be my last. And by last, I mean I could beat the game in this attempt, but I'm kind of not expecting to. I do think I'll need a couple more things, but we'll see. And as I mentioned before, my goal now is kind of, since I made it close to about the midway point last time, and I do want to clarify, I actually am kind of thinking that I was wrong in calling that the midway point. It's more about, I guess it is kind of the midway point, I'm not sure. It's been a while since I played the game from beginning to end, so I don't really know if it's fair to call the place where I almost got to on attempt number 9, if that's really the midway point or not, because there's a lot of parts in the game that later on that I kind of forgot about. And then I recently have been watching some other playthroughs of the stuff and everything, so it's kind of, I'm not sure if it's quite the midway point, but either way, as I was saying, since I got in attempt number 9, I made it that far into the game in under 10 attempts. I actually am really hoping to complete the entire game in a one-life run within 20 attempts or less. But that's kind of a side thing. Back to what I was saying before is, what would all of you, my viewers, comment below this video and let me know what you would think about me experimenting. Again, like I said, it won't be with this attempt, but it would be with attempt number 12. I would be kind of experimenting a bit with what I do in terms of the kind of some editing stuff, and not really editing, but more of the format of the series. And kind of what I had in mind was doing time lapses of certain parts of the game, not the entire run up until we get to, you know, stuff that we've never seen before in the series, but more of just kind of doing time lapses for certain parts. Like, obviously this whole beginning part I would probably be time lapsed. You know, a lot of the kind of more boring parts that aren't very interesting would be time lapsed, and of course it wouldn't be a set thing. It would be, I'd time lapse through the parts of the series that are not, or the parts of each run that are not as interesting, and then kind of if something interesting happens at a certain point, then I'll do it. And this format would also allow me to do something that I'm kind of interested in maybe experimenting with, which is essentially doing a sort of mixed style of commentary. Well, obviously right now all the commentary is live, but I'm kind of curious to know what people would... I really screwed that up. I think I can get this. Come on, before he starts talking. Come on. Go, go, go. Go, walk into the door. Walk into the door. Thank you. Get out of the way. Thank you. Okay. I screwed that up, but I kind of got it. Did save a little bit of time, but I didn't quite get it right. But as I was saying, actually I'm going to, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Yes, as I was saying, it would allow me to kind of mix up the commentary to where some of the time, when it's not during the time lapse, I would be doing live commentary like I do now. But I would also potentially have, during the time-lapse part, kind of have some commentary that I record after the fact, that I record after I've played, and kind of that would allow me to not ramble as much and allow me to kind of focus a little bit more and kind of have specific things to talk about during the time-lapse sequences, and allow me to... And like right now, I'm trying to gather my thoughts as I'm saying it, and this is kind of one of the shortfalls of live commentary, but obviously there's a lot of fun stuff that can happen during live commentary. But and I think it would be kind of a mix. So like when when certain parts of the footage is time lapsed, it would be recorded commentary that I would record after the video. So I'd record everything first, then during editing I would then record some of myself talking about what's going on during the time-lapse footage, and kind of talk about some of like the, okay, you know, this was an interesting firefight I had here, and here's the reasons why, this is what I did to get around it, because I have the farther I've made it into the game and the more I've practiced certain sections, the more I have basically figured out that it is really good. Like, there are it's very much different things you can do to make certain sections of the game a lot easier. For example, the part where attempt number 9 ended, which was the first encounter with assassins, that section right there has given me trouble during my practice runs. or not really, it's not practice runs, but when I've practiced that section where it's just I'm playing the game more normally, and I have saves and stuff, and I will try it multiple times. Even after I beat it, I will still reload the save and play it again and again to try and get better at that section and find out the most efficient way to complete it, essentially. And one of the things is I have found a fairly effective and efficient way of completing that section. And it would be interesting for me, because during live commentary, I have to focus too much to actually be able to talk about that stuff usually. Unless it's a section that I've practiced so well on, or I've practiced so much that I can do, with my eyes closed, essentially. It's so good. I'm feel so confident in it and so comfortable in a section, which is actually pretty rare. Even the parts where I have practiced a lot, I still tend to focus up a lot, and the commentary is kind of lacking. But it would be interesting to have some non-live commentary for some of those sections. Now, that said, I would also probably not have all of those sections time-lapse. So say I'm doing a certain fight, and I'm kind of I kind of have a post-video commentary of me talking about how I was able to effectively and efficiently complete a certain section, a small individual part of the game. Being able to talk about that, I would I would also probably not have it time lapse. I would have it be playing at normal speed, so it'd be like watching the videos normally, but it would have some more concise commentary to it rather than me rambling. And actually, in some cases, it would just have commentary, because sometimes when I really get focused, I kind of forget to talk at all because I'm focusing so much. But I've talked a lot about this, and I don't think I've really made my point clear. I hope that everyone understands what my idea is and what I'm kind of presenting with this alternate idea that I have. But at the same time, I also can know, looking back at everything I've just talked about, I'm sure I have not explained everything super concisely and as well as I probably could. Yeah, onward, bull squid. Oh. But I would be very interested to kind of get people's feedback. So, like I said, post in the comments below what you guys think about that idea. What everyone thinks about me essentially just experimenting, testing different formats for this series. Because, of course, this is going to be an ongoing series even after I complete Half-Life. Once I beat Half-Life in a single life, I'm going to move on to Half-Life 2. And once I beat Half-Life 2, I'm going to move on to some other game that I have no idea what's it going to be. But, I am going to continue these Iron Man runs of games that you would not generally expect to be, Iron Man mode is very common in a lot of, turn-based or even real-time strategy and tactical games. Sorry, I've been had to take a drink there because my throat was getting a little bit dry. I'm recording this episode right after doing a stream, so probably a little bit of strain on the voice, and I'm also a little bit out of practice. I haven't recorded in a while, so what was I saying before? Right. So like I said, like I was saying, I'm going to be doing this series with other games. And I don't want to say that they're all going to be first-person shooters, but I kind of have a feeling that, because again, I don't know, after I finish Half-Life, I'm going to do Half-Life 2 and Episode 1 and Episode 2. But once I complete all of the Half-Life games, I don't know what other games I'm going to do next. But some of the ideas I've had for what games to do next, so far all of the ideas I've had are first-person shooters. Again, I'm not sure, nothing's certain, but all the games that come to mind are first-person shooters. So there's a very good chance that I will be doing first-person shooters for the foreseeable future, trying to beat a single-player campaign in a single run without dying once. And I think it makes sense. The one life run makes sense in a first-person shooter, because like obviously it's not uncommon to do Iron Man runs, you know, where you essentially you never reload a save or anything like that. That's actually not that uncommon for, like I said, strategy games. That's actually very common for games like Europa Universalis, Civilization, even Total War games and stuff like that. So it is one of those things where I think it's kind of more interesting to see it when it's a first-person shooter. And it also makes a little more sense where it's a first-person shooter, particularly in the case of Half-Life, but lots of first-person shooters. Oh, why did I save there? That's a habit. See, I haven't recorded for my One Life runs in a while, and so I've been doing a lot more of my practice runs, which like I said, I do quick save and quick load a lot more in. But yes, as I was saying, G-Man. I'm gonna do something I usually don't do that often, which is come up here, because this is actually a very useful thing to do. Gotta be very careful not to shoot that, because that will pretty much kill you instantly. Follow me, Mr. Scientist Man, and you will open this up. But yes, as I was saying, I keep saying as I was saying, without actually just finish saying what it was I was saying. Oh, well, that sentence. But yes, Iron Man modes are a lot more common in other genres outside of first-person shooters. But I think the idea of a first-person shooter, where particularly first-person shooters where you are a single character throughout, which actually are most first-person shooters, most FPSs. Most FPSs, you are simply you play as a single person, and that's it. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, like I said, usually you're playing as a single person. But as I said, I think the idea of having a one life run in those games is actually pretty interesting, and that's why I started doing them. So my question is, or not really a question at this point. I already asked the questions earlier, but again, let me know what you guys think about experimenting. Do you all like the current format where it's just me playing the game like this, like I am right now, and I just do live commentary as I go? Or would people be interested in not necessarily seeing what I said, which, was the providing commentary after the fact to certain sections and stuff, and kind of what I had in mind would be something like a mixture. But what would people think of me not having any live commentary? Would people be interested in seeing me do an attempt of Half-Life with no live commentary, and it's all the commentary is just me talking about it after the fact, like I've already played through the game? I've already played through the attempt to its completion, and I essentially just pretty much, go back and record me talking about different sections, how things went on this attempt and stuff at the time. Or do people like having the live commentary? And would people be interested in seeing a bit of a mix? Because if everyone comments basically saying, yeah, let's see some changes. Let's see what I can do with it in terms of kind of changing the format slightly, then I will certainly change the format. However, if I get a lot, quite a few comments saying no, everyone likes it as is, just keep it as it is, then I'll just keep it as it is in its current format. I'm not looking to change it for the sake of changing it. I'm looking to change it to maybe give a change of pace, and also not only a change of pace, but also not just a change of pace, but also a, trying new things, exploring some horizons. Because like I said, I am going to be using this for other games. This is a format I'm going to be doing for other games. So, this is a series I'll be doing beyond just Half-Life games. So I'm curious to see what people think of that. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I basically talked for the entire episode about this thing, and I know in the last several attempts I've played through Office Complex in the first episode, but due to the fact that I have something else scheduled that I need to go do, I'm going to be breaking it off a little bit early, and also partly because this episode is basically all has been me talking the entire time about, you know, experimenting with formats for this series. So I think it'll be a good thing to end it here, and that way the entire episode I'm talking about one focus thing, and the next episode I will be back to my usual, just whatever comes to mind, talking about what things are happening. Anyway, as I said, thanks everyone for watching, and oh, one final comment on the experimenting with with trying some different formats and stuff. One thing I will say is that it will not be taking effect until the next attempt. So even if people do say, hey, let's see something new, it will potentially be quite a while before that we actually see that, or it might be really short depending how long this run lasts. Hopefully it'll be a long time, but anyway, as I said, thanks everyone for watching, and till next time.